Hey, you wild women. Welcome back to another solo episode. Hoping that this reaches you where it's hot and sunny. We on the West Coast have been experiencing a particularly cold and rainy spring. We are now June 21st. Hey, happy summer solstice. And it has just been so gnarly, and it's been hard for me to get into the season. But today we've been graced with some great weather. The irony of it being the most important day of the year. Just joking, but summer solstice. And I am just clearing my plate today because I'm going to go enjoy the sun before I head out an hour away to speak at a retreat all about PR and how to create a sustainable business that doesn't overwhelm you. And today I just wanted to jam really quickly about what I would call summer hours and how summer hours should be something that extends beyond just the summertime and really throughout the year. So, how this all started was I've been kind of getting back into the world of PR the last couple of years and been doing really well, realizing that I've just recreated a pattern that burnt me out years ago. And in the moment of realization, instead of just closing the doors like I did last time, I made a list of the things that I enjoy doing in my business and the things that I don't like doing. And the things that I don't like doing was quite simple. It was retainer based work. And you can still be successful in PR without having to do retainer work. So, chatted with the team, chatted with mentors, even my clients. And I said, listen, I am no longer going to offer retainer work. Now, why I'm doing this is because it allows me to create capacity in the areas of my life that I just absolutely love. First of all, creating capacity to be with my kids. So I typically wake up in the early mornings to start pitching, and then I'll pitch between client meetings and recordings, and I'll pitch between dropping my kids off at school. But there's a constant need to always be pitching and following up and scouting for opportunities. And after a while, it just becomes exhausting. And what happens is that it takes away my creativity. It takes away my pungent for coming up with really great angles. Now, what we did in place is offer our VIP days and our now Authority Booster Intensive, which is a 4-week intensive. It also allowed me to create the capacity to create a virtual assistant training program. So I see a lot of people that want to have a custom world-class PR strategy. They don't have somebody on the team to execute. They don't have somebody in marketing or even a VA or assistant to help execute. So we're creating a whole roster of certified PR virtual assistants. These are people that are going to come through my virtual training program and will be available to do work from like 5 to 10 hours a week with those who want to hire a expert PR person to help them get to their name out, to build their authority, to become the thought leader in their space. So we have been really trying to focus on creating these programs, but what kept getting in the way was the retainer work. Now, why I pushed back on for the longest time stopping is because it was and still is such a huge part of the revenue of my business. It's recurring revenue. It's good money, but there's a lot of work. There's a lot of pressure that goes into doing the work, to getting the pitches out, to getting media wins. And with the landscape of how PR is today, there is added pressure on us to get these wins. What I used to do 5 years ago to get my clients in the media no longer works. Parts of it does, but now not only is it a game of having the best pitch, but it's a volume game. And so if sometimes I'll spend an hour pitching a particular contact for publication or a host, think about that is just an hour for the pitching component of it. There's no added buffer for the researching, the finding these people, to coming up with the angle. Like the sheer fact of just pitching takes this time. Not to discourage you, but what I know is working, what I'm seeing in the world of PR is that more and more people want to see it coming from the company themselves or the founder. So you want to learn about PR, you can go to my website. You can follow me on social, wewildwomen.com or Renee_Warren. And I'll teach you all the things about how to get PR for your business. But today I want to talk to you really quickly about creating summer hours and how your summer hours should be something that you try to replicate all year long. I know people in the industry that are making multi-millions of dollars and they don't work on Fridays at all. They have a 3-day weekend. They don't check their email. So we've created boundaries and bumpers essentially around my time too. Our clients know that we don't work Mondays or Fridays afternoon. We're working, but we're not scheduling meetings and we're not pitching because you cannot be pitching those days anyway. And with these summer hours, especially when it comes to PR, Thursday is the new Friday. Now, if that's the case, because you're not pitching on Friday during the year, then you shouldn't be pitching on Thursdays either. So now we have to front load all of Tuesdays and Wednesdays for our pitching and our follow-up, which would lead to really great summer hours. The problem is now is that we have to put all of those pitches into those 2 days. So coming back to this idea of creating summer hours, it's like I actually interviewed Jessica Zweig on my podcast, and her episode's going live in August. So she's the author of a new book that's coming out August 6th. She sold her agency. She's a very successful entrepreneur. And her mission, as well as mine, is to really help women believe that they don't have to hustle to grow their business. They don't have to burn out at the mercy of making $1 million or $2 million or $10 million. See, we live in this world of illusion where we think we have to work harder and longer because we're only considered successful if we make that millions of dollars. We have been conditioned to believe that we constantly need to be shedding blood, sweat, and tears in order to grow our business. Don't get me wrong, there are days and moments when this is the case, where we need to be pushing hard. But the idea of this being a grind every single day, all week, all year is silly. We are burning out because we're overstimulated, we're overwhelmed, we're busy, we're doing too much. Even for me, I said yes to my last summit. So Jenny Melrose asked me months ago to teach in a summit. I get approached all the time. And maybe you do too, for these things like, hey, Renee, I'd love for you to be a speaker at our summit. You just got to do a 20-minute presentation. Your exposure is possibly to 100,000 people. The only condition is that you need to send this email out to your email list of at least 5,000 followers 2 times and share on social. Like, gone are the days of you paying me for my expertise to promote this to my community. Like, I believe that idea of those summits is kind of dying. It's overdone. And it in my perspective, it discredits and devalues the experts that are showing up. Now, if you're somebody who hasn't had that exposure yet, then by all means, go and do it. But there are some people, and maybe me, and I'm not trying to be conceited here whatsoever, but I spent so many years and hours building up an email list, nurturing a community. Might not be large, but it's nurtured. My email list is like 7,000. It took me years to get to that point. And then somebody comes in and says, yes, I want you to speak at our event for free, but you have to email your list. No. So when I'm seeing these opportunities now is I'm just saying no to a lot of things. No to speaking at events, no at summits, no retreats. I do select a few, like I'm speaking at Jenny's, and then this afternoon, in a couple hours, I'm actually driving an hour away to go speak for an hour because these are friends. But the point of the story is to say, looking at your calendar, looking at what you have coming up this summer, looking at what's coming up in the fall and the winter, what are things that you should really be saying no to? Where can you apply your summer hours to the work that you're doing today, next month, next quarter, next year? Because when you think about it, you can get just as much work done in the few hours that you give yourself than you do if you give yourself a whole day to do it, right? Don't they say something like businesses will consume all the resources that are made available to it? Meaning that if you give somebody the task of writing a blog post in a day, they'll do it in a day. But if you say they have a 2-hour deadline, they'll get it done in 2 hours. So we need to put hard and fast rules around our calendars, around our schedule of what we're saying yes to and no to. The busyness. Sure, it's an honor to be asked to speak at things. I actually was asked to speak in Florida in September, all expenses paid, to go and speak in front of what would be a larger audience of potentially my ideal customer. But it would overlap the first week of school. It would overlap those days and those weeks with my kids that are just too important. At the end of the day, it just didn't fill my love tank. And so I said no. Applying summer hours just means saying no to more things. It's allowing you to have fluidity in your calendar, to do the things that come up last minute. Like after this recording, I'm going to HomeSense and I'm going to get a couple extra things that I need to finish off the house before our guests arrive. Because I can, because it's Friday. So, when it comes to the illusion of needing to work harder, more hours, it's an illusion. The earth essentially is cracking open. Feminine divinity is oozing out. We are seeing that the feminine is rising in a beautiful way, not in a way that contrasts the masculine, but in a way that's saying, hey, yo, patriarchy, hold up. You've been at the helm for way too long and you're screwing things up. We want to slow things down. We understand that we don't need to have a lot of stuff. We don't need to go on all of these expensive trips. And what social media is doing, actually, sidebar on that, I think there's like a doctor that is trying to force a Canadian law to mandate a warning sign for all social media. Like you'd have a warning on a smoker's package, same thing, but for social, how it causes mental illness. We are so disillusioned with what we think a perfect life is that we're striving for something that doesn't even fill our love tank. We're striving for something just because the Joneses have it or the Smiths have it, but it actually doesn't fill my love tank. And I'm actually going to pull my husband into this, for example. He loves supercars, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think they're great. I love being a passenger on one. I don't really care for one. And so when the opportunity came up for me to drive one of them for the summer to be my car, I said, you know what? I'll pass. I'm happy with my BMW that holds 7 people, that can throw things in and bring kids to soccer because it's functional to me. I don't have to worry about it. So look at what you're saying yes to, especially in these coming months, to really understand, is this really coming from the heart? Is this really coming from an F yes place that you want to do this? Because I'm really an advocate for encouraging summer work hours all year long. How can you start doing that today? What is something you can take away from your business, take away from your daily tasks or weekly tasks to allow you to create this capacity to do more fun things? Because life really is about finding joy in every moment. And if you hate the day that you're facing, if you get those Sunday scaries, you hate your job and you really want to make the leap to entrepreneurship, or you're already there and you're teetering around delegating something or hiring person because you know it's going to create capacity in your day, today's the day to go and do it. Take this scary leap with the sole purpose of creating more joy in your life. And I promise you, you will have more joy, but you will have a more fulfilling life. Your love tank will be full and you will thank me. Anyways, that is it for today. So go start canceling those meetings in your calendars, ladies. Until next time, peace out.